Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Calderon, and welcome to Coach's Corner here on UAlbanySports.com. We are being joined by the head coach of the UAlbany baseball team, John Bam Bam Mueller. Does that nickname ever get old? Or do you?
I don't know if it gets old. There's still some excitement coming to it, I guess. So
Because I don't want to make you mad. I mean, there's a little bit of a size difference here, so I don't want to take you off.
No, that's certainly not going to make me mad.
All kidding aside, John, while we're taping this segment, you guys have already played 3 games. You opened up the season on the road in a place that's not particularly easy to play. SEC power, South Carolina. You lost all 3 games, but let's start with game 1. That was a rough one to start, a rough couple of early innings. They got to your ace, Stephen Woods, early. But what were some of the positives out of that game? I know you look on the surface at the final score and it's like, but what positives can you take from that game 1 start?
Well, I mean, one of the team goals going into the weekend was to have 4 errors or less as a team. Right. We played clean defense that game, made 100% of the average plays, the plays we want to make, and Stephen got off to a rough start. There was 28 or 29 MLB teams there to see him. 7,000 people sold out. It's ranked the #1 place to play college baseball in the country. Great atmosphere for our student athletes. Didn't get out. He got into a little trouble early, a little trouble later in the first third of the game, and they got to him in the 4th. But it was good to see him out there pitching. A lot of these guys are getting on the dirt for the first time. In a live environment, a very lively atmosphere. So, we had a tough time with the level of the velocity that we were seeing all weekend, but real proud that we went out there and competed that first game.
So you lose game 1, you come back, you lose game 2, 6-2, closer, and a transfer coming in this year that a lot of people will probably want to keep an eye on. Connor Powers, and went to Nassau Community College, hit a 2-run homer in that game. What should fans expect from Powers this year?
Well, Connor's a guy we had known about in high school. He had come to a couple of our clinics and camps, and he went to Rhode Island for a year, transferred out of there, and we kept following him, and he resurfaced again. And he's a very tough, quiet, athletic kid. Plays a lot of energy defensively, and he's got some power in his bat. He's got a quick barrel, and he's a guy for 3 years that we're really excited to have in left field. He's really an upgrade out there to our offense. So we're excited about him. But there's a number of guys, 6 new starters in that lineup. At one point, I think we had 4 freshmen on the field against South Carolina at a number of different times. So, a lot of new guys to be excited about. But we really put a premium on defense this year. Get back to fielding the ball correctly, and obviously continuing to try to empower that pitching staff to attack the zone.
Sure. And now to put a bow on that 3-game series on the road at South Carolina, game 3, you guys have a 1-0 lead, 5-6 innings in, and then the Gamecocks, tack on a couple of runs in the 6th and in the 7th, and you lose that one. Of the 3, obviously, that was probably the best outing from that. What can you take from that game and say, what, if we can play like this on a consistent basis, we maybe can contend for an America East? I mean, is that the way you would look at that?
Well, I think that generally speaking, there's 3 parts of the season: the preseason, which is these 19 or 20 games you play on the road, predominantly on the road, the regular conference season, and then hopefully we're clicking on all cylinders in late May. The proverbial hottest team at the end, not always the best team, and that's the postseason. But the positive that came out is our #1 guy he wasn't sharp, didn't have his best command. But Marcus Failing, a Fort Plain kid, pitched outstanding game 2. Pitches with a lot of energy. And Ryan Steiner, a guy that was slated to be our #2 guy last year, we didn't have all of last year. He went out and really flashed great velocity and had command over all 3 pitches for periods of time, and did a real nice job attacking them and challenging them. And after 5 innings, we called it a day for him. And there was a lot of bright spots. We made 1 error all weekend. We made a number of very good plays. We were on time with some things that we were hoping to be on time with. Offensively, like I said all week, that's a boatload of velocity. The velocity, was not 86, 89. The velocity was 90, 94. And, the Saturday and Sunday guys got up to 95, and a couple of the relievers were as high as 97. So, with secondary stuff. So there was really no let up. It's almost like a Nolan Richardson, Arkansas type full court press, and it doesn't come off, and they do a great job defensively. They're very physical, very, very athletic. And they're an outstanding pitching coach and outstanding hitting coach. And it's an SEC caliber team. They're picked 3rd, and I'm real interested to see how they make out down the road. that club. But it was a great test, great thing to put our student athletes in front of, experience they'll have the rest of their lives. Now we head to A&T this weekend for test number 2.
Yeah, I know you've already played South Carolina 3 games, like you said, on the road in North Carolina for 3 games against North Carolina A&T. Season outlook now, John. You mentioned it about a couple of minutes ago. 6 new starters in the lineup. As a coach, exciting, stressful, combination of 2? How do you feel about that?
I think that I'm excited. I think that the way that we get respect back in this conference is by winning. It's very simple. We need to build it from the ground up, and that's by bringing in quality kids, student athletes that can compete, some kids with some edginess to them we've added to our team, because you're going to need those guys in cold, windy days when you're down 4 or 5-0 in the 5th inning. And we've added some of those pieces to the puzzle. You don't get there overnight. I always say this: you don't get the first or the last overnight. It takes time to get to both spots, but our conference is very, very competitive, comparable to MAC. The Northeast Conference is ranked 28th, 29th. The America East is 20th, which is head of the Mid-American and 1 behind the Big East. So our conference has gotten a lot better. There's no easy weekends. I don't think anybody in the conference will say, oh, this weekend's going to be an easy one or this one's going to be an easy one. So second place to last place is really one and a half good weekends. You go somewhere and get swept, you put yourself up against it. You go somewhere and win maybe when you're not supposed to, you move back ahead. So as long as I've been in this conference, going back to the real good Northeastern teams, the Vermont teams, Hartford's made a surge. UMBC had a career year last year. And Stony Brook, Maine, and Binghamton aren't going to take their foot off the gas. So, preseason predictions are just that. I've always said that whether you're picked first or last or 5th or 2nd, the real measure of a team is how you progress through the season. And number 1, we got through this weekend healthy, which has been different than the last 2 years. We're operating with only a handful of guys out right now. I feel like we could be 33 healthy guys in about a month. So, we're a little thin in some spots, but I expect the guys that are in there to perform at a high level. And really excited about some other guys, some guys that'll be coming out of the pen this weekend, and watching some of those guys that maybe didn't have the outing they wanted. And also watching our hitters having maybe a little bit more of a chance to barrel some balls up, and when the speed of the game comes down a little bit more to our liking, I'm interested to see how we compete.
I have one more question for you, and this is, it's for the fans, but also self-serving. And I had an opportunity to watch Stephen Woods pitch last year. We already talked about he had a rough start to the season, but show me a pitcher that hasn't had a rough start, and they probably haven't been pitching very long. He's one of the top 300 college prospects by MajorLeagueBaseball.com and all these things. Already been drafted out of high school by the Tampa Bay Rays. Sky's the limit for this kid. How good can he be for people that haven't had a chance to see him play yet?
Well, Steven's high in velocity. I mean, he's been to 98 before. I don't think he sits 94, 98, but the command over some of his other stuff, his cutter that he established last year. He's got a real violent breaking ball that. When he commands that most of the time, he can be very, very difficult on anybody to hit. In South Carolina, he wasn't able to command everything, much of anything, and at different times he really even lost command of his fastball. So he really had to go back to just throwing his fastball by people at certain times, and he was successful with that for a period of time. But he's tweaked a few things this week. We've talked to him a little bit about some real simple things that he needs to do. But sometimes guys start slow. I always started slow when I was playing in the minors, and it takes time to get into it. You need to get over some of the initial phases of the season. I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety on his back, and the sky's the limit for him, no doubt. I mean, he's got a big time arm, electric stuff. I don't even think he's gotten near where he's going to be, in his early 20s, mid 20s, when he really starts to be able to, overcome any of the hurdles he has. But physically, he's going to continue to get stronger. His response was unbelievable. The next day, he was picking up Marcus Failing. He's a college kid. He's cheering for his teammates. We get caught up in all these things and things we read and things we see, but the reality is he's another kid in this team. He's one piece of this puzzle, and he's one part of the machine. And as soon as he got done with his start, he wanted to know what he did wrong and what he can improve on, just like a number of the other guys. So I kind of dumb it down and say, hey, you know what? You're a college kid. Go out there. Your next start, we're going to try to extend you a little bit and get deeper into the game for us.
He's the head coach of the UAlbany baseball team, John Mueller. John, pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me, my man.
I'm Joe Calderone. Thanks for watching Coach's Corner. We'll see you next time. Be good.